Once upon a time, there were 3 brothers named Abel, Ben, and Caleb who lived in a cottage by the woods. They were honest and hardworking. Every day they would venture into the forest to cut wood, which they would sell at the market for a decent price. Thus, their life continued in this manner. However, the brothers were always sad and unhappy. Even though they lived a good life, they yearned for more. One day, while Abel, Ben, and Caleb were returning home from the woods carrying their bundle of logs, they saw an old woman struggling with a heavy sack. The brothers, being kind and compassionate, immediately offered to carry the sack to her home. She smiled and expressed her gratitude, explaining that the sack contained apples she had collected in the forest. Abel, Ben, and Caleb took turns carrying the sack, and by the time they reached the woman's home, they were very tired. Now, this old woman was no ordinary person. She had magical powers. Pleased with the brothers' kindness, she offered to grant them a wish each. "We are not happy, and that has become our greatest concern," said Abel. The woman asked what would make them happy. Each brother spoke of a different thing. "A splendid mansion with plenty of servants would make me happy," said Abel. "A big farm with lots of harvest would make me happy," said Ben. "A beautiful wife would make me happy," said Caleb. "Very well," said the old woman. "Go home, and each of you shall find exactly what you have wished for." The brothers were surprised but hopeful. They returned home, and, lo and behold, beside their cottage stood a huge mansion for Abel, a fertile farm for Ben, and a beautiful wife for Caleb. The brothers were overjoyed and quickly adapted to their new lives. However, as the days passed and a year went by, things changed. Abel grew tired of his mansion and neglected its upkeep. Ben found the work on his farm burdensome. Caleb became indifferent to his wife's company. In short, they were unhappy once again. One day, the brothers decided to visit the old woman for advice. "You granted our wishes, but we are unhappy again. Please tell us how to be happy," they said. The old woman, cooking stew in a pot, listened to their stories. "Happiness never lasts without contentment," she said. "You were happy when your wishes were granted, but without contentment, happiness fades. Only by being content can you truly enjoy lasting happiness." Abel, Ben, and Caleb realized their mistake. They went home and saw how lucky they were to have what they once craved. Abel began taking good care of his mansion. Ben diligently worked on his farm. Caleb appreciated his wife's company and devotion. Remembering that happiness and contentment go hand in hand, the brothers never took their blessings for granted again. And thus, they lived happily ever after. Moral: true happiness comes from being content with what you have